Hello, everybody. Ryan Dyer here, and today I'm gonna be going over a lot of the NASCAR contract stuff and telling you guys kind of what I expect from this upcoming silly season, which is looking like it might be even sillier than last year, which we didn't think was possible. But we also didn't think that 2 years ago was gonna be beat on silliness of the silly season when Dale Jr. announced his retirement, and then we th- yeah, it's just gotten sillier and sillier every year, so we kind of should have expected at this point that this year's was going to be even sillier than last year's. And at this point, it's looking like it's very, very likely that it will be sillier. So let's get right into that. So we start off with probably the biggest topic that I think everybody has talked about at least once on their channel if they talk at all about NASCAR silly season. Christopher Bell. Well, that's an easy one to at least talk about because he has announced something. He will be at a JGR team slash JGR affiliate team next year. I now JGR Xfinity, it's a possibility, but I'm sure he would like to see himself go to the Cup Series, and I think that's the only reason that he hasn't announced that he's staying in Xfinity yet. But my prediction is that I think he's going to be staying in Xfinity one more year. But we also know that there's a couple seats open at JGR, or quote unquote open at JGR. So Eric Jones is on an expiring contract. We know that much, and he is currently working out an extension. I think that extension is going to go through. I think JGR extends Eric Jones for one more year. DeBenedetto. Hmm. Ah. Now, he was signed to a 2 year deal, which is actually a 1 year deal with a 1 year extension, kind of like what we're going to be talking about with another driver later on in this video. I think that there's a chance that Toyota might let him go to get Christopher Bell in a Toyota ride in the Cup Series, especially seeing as I don't know of any sponsorship that DiBenedetto has brought to that team. So it's not like he's a money option, and Christopher Bell wouldn't be a money option either because he hasn't brought the sponsors over to Xfinity either. Um, well, he's starting to bring sponsors over, but he still hasn't brought over nearly enough to justify him knocking off someone like a pay driver like Paul Menard, which we're going to be talking about him later on. But so we, but I think it's reasonable that Christopher Bell could not knock DiBenedetto out of that seat potentially, and DiBenedetto could be looking for a ride, which I'll talk about some other options for rides for him here in a sec. But yeah, so I think that my likely path is either he stays in Xfinity one more year or he bumps DiBenedetto. I do not think that there's going to be a second car at Leavine because I don't see where the sponsorship would come from. They are pooling together all their sponsorship into the 95, and even that has some eNASCAR Heat sponsored, some eNASCAR Heat Pro League sponsored races, which is not great sponsorships. You should be having actual companies sponsoring it, not basically a NASCAR sponsor or car, basically unsponsored. Um, but yeah, and then from that you go on to um. So I don't think there's gonna be a second car at Leavine. I think Christopher Bell will probably now if Christopher Bell knocks DiBenedetto off, where would DiBenedetto go? While he doesn't have super deep Toyota roots. Like he has some, like he used to drive for JGR and Xfinity, but he used to be in the Ford camp. Now, I did bring this up last year in my speculation video, and I have kind of mentioned in with friends and stuff how I'm annoyed when people just rehash the same content into another video, kind of like with all the Heat 4 speculation, where it's all just copy paste the Heat 3 speculation that wasn't true into Heat 4 speculation and wish list stuff and whatnot. So, just clarifying that I am um, gonna be reusing some of my arguments, but I have more to go on this time than just he's a Ford driver. First off, um he was at what's it called, Go Fast Racing for um I think it was a year or two over at Go Fast, and then and also so there's a chance he could go over to a maybe another Roush car if he has the money. Of course, I don't think he has the funding behind him, so I don't think Roush is an option, and I don't see his talents being. Now, while he is a talented driver, I won't deny that. I don't think he is the talent of, say, a Penske car. Like, because I know that Penske's a Ford team that does have an opening slot, but if they were going to move someone over there that didn't have funding, um, I could very much see Cindric getting moved up versus them bringing on a new guy like DiBenedetto. And kind of going along with Penske, the Wood Brothers ride is not open for next year. Paul Menard just announced, I think it was, or I just heard it at least, that he has a deal for next year with Wood Brothers, but then after that, the future of him and his dad's company are questionable, which also makes me wonder where Brandon Jones is going to end up or like what's going to happen with the money in Xfinity, because Brandon Jones has um has Menard sponsorship on his car a lot of the time, and then the Ream money, which is his dad's company, goes to Christopher Bell. I think his dad sponsors both, so they would just move Ream over to that car. Also, with GameStop dying off, that's another one of Christopher Bell's sponsors. Hopefully, GameStop doesn't die out too quick, because I like them as a company. Like, I really hope that they stay around, but it's hard to say that they're gonna stay around when I don't have anything to base that on. Um, and then let's think. Oh yeah, he could. And then there's the whole thing over at SHR. Could he slot into one of those cars? I mean, I think he could if SHR decides to give up on Suarez. I think he could get there, but I don't think he's gonna replace Amarola or Boyer and I'll tell you why. So, um, 3 of the 4 cars at SHR are actually on quote unquote expiring contracts. Smithfield and Eric Almirola are both done after this year. And then Suarez has kind of the same deal that DiBenedetto has, which is a 1 year with a 1 year extension. Assuming that Suarez has been pretty good this year. I won't deny that. I haven't been the biggest supporter of him over the years, but he has done pretty good in that car compared to his teammates. But here's where I think what happens with the SHR lineup, because that's the one I assume is going to shake up the most. I think that Cole Custer goes up to the Cup Series in, I'm going to say, the 14 car. I think that even though Toco or whatever has shown up as a Clint Boyer sponsor, I think they'll stay with the 14 regardless. So I think Clint Boyer is going to be done in 2020, or at least done at SHR, and I don't see where he finds a ride. I mean, he might put around on like he might go bump Go Fast, or some of the other Chevrolet teams and whatnot, for another couple of years, to try and, if he wants to stay in the series. Who knows if he even wants to stay in the series? I mean, I'd assume so. But I mean, we've even seen kind of the pressure though of wanting to perform get to him, to causing fights such as the fight from the All-Star race, which I did a video on, and the argument they got in with Eric Jones a week before at Kansas for a harmless incident. So figured I'd go over those couple of so I think Cole Custer goes to the 14. So now we've got for 2020 SHR. We know we've got Harvick and we know we've got Custer. Almirola, I think they're going to re-sign Almirola, especially with the money that he brings. And then I think that they're going to let Suarez walk. I think that it's likely that they might let Suarez walk. Of course, this is all dependent on how he performs. If he gets a win, I don't think they replace Suarez. But if he continues to perform kind of as he is or below, like if I'm rolling if Almirola in particular steps up and Suarez continues to perform around where he is or worse, I think that they replace Suarez for DiBenedetto, and then Suarez will probably go Fast Racing because let's be honest, Go Fast would take the sponsorship over Corey LaJoy because all they've done with Corey LaJoy is put his face on the car and get um, Corey LaJoy on TV from throwing a football back and forth with the crowd at Michigan. So I think that then you have in that case, so that's a possibility out there that we could see DiBenedetto going over to Stuart Haas. Because I don't see where JGR would like I don't see the incentive for JGR to keep him, considering he hasn't been performing in the 95 ride. Now there is a chance that they move Eric Jones to the 95 and move Bell to the 20, but I mean that's just same numbers and it's just switching numbers around basically. I mean the affiliate team and whatnot, but yeah. So I think that's where that goes. I think they're gonna try and keep Bell and the crew chief together. By the way, but yeah. So with the whole Stuart Haas situation, though, I think that one's the most subject to change based on results. Because I don't think DiBenedetto, unfortunately, is going to turn this season around because it's been so mediocre. Like unless he wins one of these next two races, which I mean Bristol night race maybe while I'm there, he could win it. But I think for the most part, DiBenedetto's season is kind of confirmed how it's going to go, and it's going to be a lot like his season last year at Go Fast. But Suarez has been kind of on the brink of being a breakout. Now, I'm still not entirely sure on Suarez. He's definitely done better this year than he has the last 2 years at Joe Gibbs, compared to teammates, especially. I mean, if you're comparing Suarez to his teammates such as Kyle Busch and MTJ the last 2 years, yeah, he's underperformed. But if you're comparing him to his teammates this year, none of them have wins. He actually, I think, has second most amount of top fives or something out of it. I mean, he's done well in that team compared to his teammates. But if his teammates start performing and he doesn't pick up that same pace, I think that they could be saying goodbye to Suarez and bringing in DiBenedetto to just try, because I think DiBenedetto has the talent if he has a good enough car. I'm not entirely sure that the Leavine Family Racing, even though it's a Toyota, is getting the same equipment that, let's say, Furniture Row was, and they were on a very short leash at Toyota. Ford has a bit more kind of a window for him to fall into. I mean, then Suarez could take his pay money over to Penske or Roush, as previously mentioned, and they have room for another driver. But yeah, so because he has Eris behind him for 8-9 races worth of sponsorship. But yeah, and then so then that would make Stuart Haas basically Harvick, Almirola, Custer, and either DiBenedetto or Suarez, depending on what they do. I am hoping that that Cindric stays in the Xfinity Series if he stays in NASCAR, because I'm not a big Cindric fan personally, just because of the incident at Canadian Tire. And I don't think he's ready yet for the Cup Series based on that incident there and his kind of attitude back then, and then seeing him in these first 2 years in the Xfinity Series. I mean, I just don't think he's ready for it. And sure, Moneyline. I mean, would Moneyline want to move up with him versus staying in the Xfinity Series and sponsoring another driver? Because I mean, no doubt an Xfinity car costs less than a Cup car. So yeah, so that's a lot of kind of my thoughts condensed into a quick video here. But yeah, I figured I'd mention this considering we pretty much just got past the halfway point in the season. But But yeah, of course, Suarez did just have a pretty good race though at Kentucky, so where he won the pole and everything. So that could show that he's gonna be making some upticks. New Hampshire and a few other tracks coming up though might show really what's coming up for like what the future could be for Suarez. Um, but yeah, and I've got some other topics I want to do in other videos this week. So if you guys enjoy my out of the or my running with the pack coverage here of silly season, feel free to tune in, and I'll be doing some other topics later this week. I think one of the things I definitely want to talk about is probably going to be the Las Vegas moving to a night race. So, um, but of course we can talk about that later. So, but this video is mainly just to be about the silly season. So I think that the main two teams I think are going to have a shift. We know Joe Gibbs is keeping Christopher Bell somewhere. I think he goes to Levine and bumps to Benedetto, or stays in Xfinity. I mean, I think those are about 50-50. I don't see any other options really, especially knowing they signed the contract. Oh yeah, quick thing about Kurt Busch. I mentioned he was on an expiring contract. I think it's likely that Chastain comes up in a third Ganassi car or in some other lower tier Chevrolet car, um, like a what's it called, like an RCR ride or something for 1 year, and then goes to Ganassi when Kurt Busch retires at the end of 2020. Or he goes to a third Ganassi car next year for 2020, and then Ganassi shrinks back down to a 2-car team, or they keep as a 3-car team and find someone to replace Kurt Busch when Kurt Busch probably retires in 2020. The other one is Hendrick, which, I mean, they've got 3 fairly young drivers that I think are sticking there for a while. And then the only question is Jimmie Johnson at the end of 2020. What's going to happen with him? But he's already got a contract through 2020. So I think Hendrick stays the same for next year. Ganassi might get add a third car for Chastain. I think because I don't see Chevrolet letting him go talk to Stuart Haas um, or Penske, because you don't want Penske gaining a Ross Chastain, or he'll just run away with a championship and a Rookie of the Year title at the same time. But yeah, so I think Ganassi gets a third car. I think Christopher Bell. We know he's staying with Toyota. I think it's 50-50 between staying in Xfinity for JGR and going to the Levine Family Racing ride. I think DiBenedetto, if he gets replaced at Levine, goes to either Stuart Haas or back to Go Fast. And then I think Suarez would either go to Go Fast or Roush if he gets replaced by DiBenedetto. So yeah, and then Clint Bowyer, I think, no doubt gets replaced by Cole Custer, who is tearing up the Xfinity Series right now. But yeah, that's the main thing. And then maybe like Allmendinger finds his way back into an RCR ride or something. But those would be some of the more far-fetched ideas. JTG, I think, stays the same. No-name teams like Spire Motorsports and Premium Motorsports, I think, are going to have the same rotations that they've had forever. Rick Ware Racing's going to have a rotation. I think they're going to have 3 full-time cars. So, yeah. Figured I'd let you guys know, though, and I think I've stalled this video long enough. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. If you guys enjoyed, like the video, subscribe for more content like this, ring the bell, all that other YouTube stuff. T-shirts are available down below in the description as well as my Patreon link, but I think I've plugged enough. See you guys in the next video. Bye.